Hello guys, these are the questions that were asked on for psychology paper 2 on 15th March shift 1. I've also done another video what were the questions asked in paper 1, so please check that out as well. Moving on, there were questions regarding the C's, the three C's of the hardiness. Then there were lots of questions, a whole big paragraph on Piaget's theory regarding what are the characteristics such as conservation, which stages are the children in regarding the paragraph that was given, the characteristics of these stages and all. Then there were lots and lots and lots of questions on transactional analysis. What are the ego states? What are the types of analysis that you do in transactional analysis? Then there were a lot of questions in arranging the order of stages of gas model, Piaget stages, Erickson, and observational learning, the stages of how these groups are formed, and the stages to perform uh, the radio frequency surgery, and how to achieve homeostasis, what are the stages of Maslow, and creativity and test construction. Many questions regarding the arrangement, many questions matching for matching the theories of emotions with their descriptions, theories of intelligence with the founders, the non-parametric tests with the description, types of correlation and their description, the types of memory, especially long-term memory with the description. Then there were theories of positive psychology and their description, their founders. And then there were many genetic questions, the questions on genetic disorders, and what were the possible causes? What were the basic causes of those? So that was also quite, confusing. But just because I knew Fragile X syndrome and Down syndrome, that is why I was able to answer this question. Otherwise, it was really quite confusing. After that, there was also matching regarding the descriptions of heuristics and algorithm and inductive reasoning, deductive reasoning. There was also another question regarding an experimenter who used one independent variable such as social support to study the effect on well-being, and later on he introduced another independent variable that was gender, and he was trying to find out the effect. So the questions regarding were like what was the type of the design, whether it was factorial design or between group, within group. What was the type of what gender was, what kind of a variable here, and if the alternate hypothesis was accepted, so then what could be the value of p, whether it was greater than 0.05 or more or less than that. And he collected the data from people around him. So what was the type of sampling here? Then there were the PERMA model of Seligman. You had to identify what were the things, what was the full form of PERMA. One question regarding the secondary prevention, the role of secondary prevention, the types of random sampling. Then the values were given, and you had to find out the value of z. One question regarding the characteristics of linguistic hypothesis, types of therapy like aversion, systematic desensitization, token economy, what was under the classical conditioning, and one question regarding the gestal psychology, which was very confusing. I've never heard of it. But there were like types of reflections, I guess, in gestal psychology, which I can't recall right now. Then there were characteristics of classical conditioning. It's called respondent learning and SNR connection and all that. So you have to click, what were the correct characteristics of classical conditioning. Then which part of brain plays a role in fear? So the answer was amygdala. Questions on assertion and reasoning. There were many questions regarding like that. So there was one question where the assertion was that monthly salary is a reinforcement, and the second was the variable ratio is the best. So the both the sentences are correct, but the reasoning is not correct, because monthly salary means it is a fixed ratio and variable ratio is the best. That is also correct, but it doesn't really justify the first sentence. Then the question was who introduced this integral yoga, which was by, I think, Sri Aurobindo. Who founded play therapy? What doesn't play a role in the successful treatment of cardiac issues like sense of perception or your sense of control or your sense of humor? What was the weakest correlation among the four? I can't recall the fourth option. And then REM sleep was characterized by what? What is advanced empathy? What are the goals of REBT? What is the full form of SHRF? And characteristics of that regarding, किसके लिए बना है या किस पे applicable है, or that the visual information from the optic mediation reaches to the primary visual cortex via what? So it was superior colliculi or lateral genitally nucleus, whatever it was. These were the options. Then there was one description like of social loafing. Why does cognitive dissonance occurs? And how stress will result in a skin disorder? What is functional fixedness? The scales of measurement you had to arrange it, but it was in a very confusing order. Like it was not nominal, ordinal, interval ratio. It was in a mixed order. So whoever did that question wrong must be really regretting. If you do not focus on the question, then the three components of the Fielder's contingency model: inattention, blindness. क्या होता है if there is a person who's walking in a gorilla suit in front of people who are playing basketball and they have not noticed? So what is it? Then the force field analysis, the characteristics of biofeedback. Cog screen is used for what? What was the result of Milgram study? What is the interreliability if 15 people disagree out of the 75? Characteristics in language development such as semantics, syntax, then the formula of variance, and optimistic explanatory style in stress. So you have to make it to the external cause or the specific factors or the global factors. Out of the four options, you have to choose one. These are the only questions that I can recall. If you recall any more questions, please comment down below so there are people who can be helped, whoever is going to attempt next. Thank you.